What's up, guys? We are back. This is Beat the Line Broadcast. Finally, we made it to our 50th episode. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of gotten this far already. Wasn't really expecting that. Thank you. We have a special guest, Lucrative, friend of the show. Thanks for joining us again. We appreciate that for such a big card and such a big episode. Glad to have you.
Thanks for having me on, bro. Can't wait, man.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one to break down, too. And what we'll do is we'll just get right into it. That first fight of the night that we have, I'm going to probably pull it up right here, is Rinat Fakhretdinov versus Carlos Leal. Let's see if that's showing up. How does that show up when we have 4 people? What does that look like? Nice. Okay, so Rinat Fakhretdinov versus Carlos Leal. Rinat is 23, 2-1. He's 33, 6 feet tall with 74-inch reach. Carlos Leal is 21-5, 30, 5'11", 72-inch reach. He's making his UFC debut. Odds on these two gentlemen, you can get Rinat Fakhretdinov anywhere from -250 to -260. Carlos Leal is anywhere from +200 to +220. We usually let our guests go first. Thanks for joining us, Lucrative. So what do you think here? Are you taking the dog shot on Leal, or do you think Rinat gets it done here?
Might have to take the dog shot on my boy Carlos Leal, man. He's won me money in the past, and he's a good fighter. You know, like I think a lot of the people or a lot of the market maybe do not know who he is, because if they did, I don't think Rinat would be -250 here. Rinat's good, decent power, good wrestling, bad gas tank, decent durability, gets wobbled a bit. 0 striking in round 3, 0 striking technicality as he gets more tired. He comes out looking kind of sharp in round 1. He knows what to do. You know, his hands tucked in, throws good shots, close to the body, a lot of power. But at the end of the day, you know, time and time again, when he gets into the later stages of round 2 and round 3, he's just throwing wild shots. And Leal's not going to be doing that. Leal's going to be throwing down the middle from round 1 to round 3. He's got a good gas tank, decent takedown defense. There's not too much footage of his anti-grappling. So, you know, there is a risk he just gets taken down over and over again here. But he was already training for a fight. This is a short notice call-up for him, but he was already training for a fight on the UAE Warriors card, which went down yesterday, which I profited 1 unit on. And I think it's a good spot for him, man. I don't know what to say. Like, we're always betting on odds, right? If this was -110, it's a little bit more of a risky pick. But at +210 odds, I'm going to bet on him. Now, I don't know when I'm going to bet on him. I've given it on a broadcast. Maybe I should just do it right now. But I think that money may continue to come in on Rinat. The thing is, Carlos Leal opened up. I think he opened up like +400 or some stupid, as they always do, right? It's just stupid odds. Everyone hit the opener. Congrats to you guys, got on +400, whatever. But it came down to +140, instantly shot to +160. I looked again the next day, +180. Looked again the next day, +190. Looked again a few hours later, +200. Now it's +210. I mean, it keeps going up and up and up and up. I guess, you know, Abu Dhabi card, a lot of people are on these Russians, the people with OV in the end of their name, Fakhretdinov. So maybe the money keeps on coming in on Rinat. And so maybe we get Carlos Leal a better line. I'm checking him right now, and he is currently on Bet Online. +210. Yeah, +210, which is what it was yesterday. So I feel like maybe it peaks out here, but who knows, man? Fight night, unless people smash the line now, which might happen. But fight night, we might even get bigger because people might just parlay Rinat. I don't understand how you're playing Rinat at -200, -250, coming off 2 bad performances where he probably should have lost one of those. Gas is out clearly against the legit fighter. So yeah, Carlos Leal is definitely the side for me.
Yeah, I don't have a bet yet. I kind of agree with you. I think kind of the same thoughts you had about this. I have about another fight. I think once the parlay boys start coming Thursday, Friday, Saturday, a lot of these lines with the Russian guys are going to get juiced all the way up. That'll probably be the time to take the dog shot. Looking at Rinat, you know, I pretty much bet him every single fight, and I got bailed out against Dalby with that whole experience. Got bailed out against Dos Santos or Eliseo Dos Santos. We know if you can stop the takedown come round 2, round 3, Rinat's tired, and if you make it ugly like this guy Carlos Leal does in his fights, he could definitely win here. So I don't think it's worth paying the minus 250 premium price tag for Rinat. I think it's got to be dog or pass here, but I'm going to wait. What do you think, Drav?
Yeah, I agree with you guys also. I think this line's ridiculous. Think it's disrespectful. Like James said, this guy has been doing his thing outside of UFC and PFL. Very, very good guy. I mean, he's definitely UFC caliber. He's a nasty striker, man. The power that he has in his hand is pretty nasty. But then he mix it up with the kicks. He goes to the legs. He goes to the body, which is what you want against a guy like Rinat. He does switch stance a lot, which I like also. He has a nasty body kick. We've seen Rinat get hurt to the body before. And Leal also has very good leg kicks. And I've seen Rinat, he doesn't really check leg kicks. And I think that's going to be a problem here. And the takedown defense, I've watched a lot of his fight. There's not, he never fought a wrestler like Rinat, but there's some fights where people are shooting on him. And, he's doing all the right things, defending well, fighting the hands. Putting the head down. When he got taken down, he got right back up. He showed urgency to get back up. The only time that I've seen him on his back, which I didn't like, it was like he was the one trying to shoot takedowns and then he was getting reversed and up on his back. And I don't want him to shoot takedowns here. I think he should only defend takedowns because Leal was wrestling earlier in his career. You guys know that, but now he's more of a striker, and he's very good at it. He has very good cardio also. He slowed down sometimes in round 3 himself, but he does push it. He does push through it better than Rinat. And when he does slow down, that's because he almost finished the guy and he didn't, and he still managed his gas tank pretty good. And yeah, I think the body kicks, the body work's going to be a problem. The leg kicks also. And I think he's going to be able to either defend the takedowns or get back up when he get taken down. And I don't think Rinat's going to finish him. Leal is very durable. He has a very, very good chin. I really rate his chin. And we've seen Rinat, in round 1, he coming out, he's, dropping these guys and everything. He has power to his credit. But I think Leal's chin is very good, better than these last people. And I don't think he's gonna drop him. I don't think he's gonna finish him. And there's no way separate, in my opinion. I don't think he has the best top control ever, Rinat, So even if you take him down, I'm not sure he's going to do much on top and control him for a long period of time. And I just think that Leal, he's going to be there for all 15 minutes and he's even live to get a finish himself. Like James said, he's on short notice making his debut, but he was preparing. He was supposed to fight this week. It's still a UFC debut, but you have a guy with a ton of experience who is very, very good. And yeah, I think this line is way off. I think it should be way closer. And I'm going to pick Leal to get it done outright. And obviously at plus 2XX, he's the money line side as well. So I like him quite a bit. I think he's one of the good dogs on the card.
Cool. All right, Key, what are you thinking, man?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short since I believe all 4 of us are in agreement here. I think the Leal's the side. I taped this earlier today. And I've known of Leal, but I don't think that I really understood how good and solid this guy is. Real pop on his shots. I think Rinat has been running into guys who aren't necessarily going to win a lot of round 1s against him, regardless of what situation it was. And I think that Leal has chance to even win round 1 against him. And I think that Rinat's very, very good in round 1. Because he is just such a bully. Like he takes no steps back in round 1. But I think round 2, round 3, I think that the leg kicks will begin to start adding up. And then Rinat, we know, I mean, he's swinging overhands into backhands like he's playing fucking tennis. Like it outside of round 1, I really don't rate him highly. And as Drav mentioned, his top control does not scare me. Leal's seems to do all the right things when he gets taken down. And in terms of his takedown defense. And funny story, I know that he was already in Abu Dhabi for the UAE Warriors card. His coach actually took that shit on 2 days' notice after Leal got the bump up to UFC, and his coach actually got a knockout. So that's a cool little fact. So they're riding high. I think that they might be even happier after this fight. So I think the Leal is definitely the side.
All right. So we all first fight of the card, we're picking a dog. All right. Next fight we have here is Bruno Silva versus Ismail Naurdiev. Bruno Silva, 23-11, 35, 6 feet tall to 74-inch reach. Ismail Naurdiev is 23-7, 28, 6 feet tall to 74-inch reach. The odds on these two fighters, you can get Bruno Silva anywhere from plus 150 to plus 140. You can get Ismail Naurdiev anywhere from minus 180 to minus 175. I'll take this one first just because my breakdown's quick. Bet Rivers gave out Bruno Silva by KO plus 140. Drav actually let me know when he saw it before I did.
Plus 400 peg.
What did I say? Plus 190. All right, yeah, sorry. So it's plus 400. I put half a unit there. I think on a guy like Bruno Silva, that's his most likely path to winning is a KO. We've seen Ismail. I mean, he's a complete fighter. You watch his tape at times, he looks really good. He's got everything put together. He's got good takedowns. He can top control. He looks like a really good Muay Thai striker. He was out of Tiger Muay Thai for a while. He looks good, but his chin lets him down. He lost to the guy who was just on the Dana White Contender Series that got cooked by the Italian dude. Honestly, I think if Bruno Silva looked like how he did against Sanchez and against like all these other fighters, 3 years ago, it'd be an easy bet, and I think he'd be a pretty wide favorite. But obviously, he lost to 38 or 39-year-old Weidman. It looked horrible. I think he landed like 20 or 30 strikes. Before that, I believe he lost to what's his name? Was it the Pirate? Yeah, Shara. And then before that was Brendan Allen. He hurt Brendan Allen a few times, but Brendan Allen was able to hurt him, then sub him, which isn't a bad loss. And then the knockout over Brad Tavares was pretty vicious. So, I mean, if we're talking about the guy a year and 6 months ago, that's a different story. I think he should be the favorite here. But obviously, he's kind of looked worse over time. Sure, it's against better competition, but this is a big step down. I wouldn't take the money line shot. I think the KO prop anywhere plus 300 or better is fine for a sprinkle, but I think you got to go with Bruno Silva here. It's probably dog or pass for me. Key, what are you thinking?
Yeah, Naurdiev, I mean, he's a solid guy. I thought that his tape looked pretty good, but just unreal ways to lose. He's just a guy that just seems to not be able to put together consistent winning performances. I'm kind of interested as to why he's back after, out of his last 4, he's 2-2. Last 3, 1-2. It's just kind of an awkward situation when throwing back into a fire like this. But I do think that Bruno Silva is not fully washed because I think they're still down to fight. But I don't think that he's the same Bruno Silva that we saw against Alex Pereira. The Weidman loss is one thing to just go blind from eye poking, but he was losing that fight up until that point. And I had a Weidman bet there, I believe. So that was a really disappointing performance here. Naurdiev, he's liable to get bonked, but outside of that, I think that he's the minute winner. It's just hard to trust a guy that will consistently win minutes, but just is an all-time moment loser. So for me, it's a pass at these odds. Shout out to anybody who was able to get Naurdiev early. And anything wide on Bruno Silva KO, I think that is his path at this point in his career. So anything wide on those odds, I think is a decent bet if you're on that side.
I don't have too much more to say on this one. At the end of the day, I feel like this might be a trap spot on the underdog. And there's no such real thing as a trap spot, right? Trap spot in sports betting oftentimes refers to the bookies purposely putting a line out there to trap you, which doesn't exist in sports betting. When I say trap spot, what I mean is it seems kind of obvious that you would take someone like Bruno Silva to some degree. This guy's a debuting fighter. I know he fought in the UFC before, didn't go too well for him. He's lost on the regional scene against guys who are not good. He's looked not that good on the regional scene against guys who are not that good also. But, he is he improving? I don't know. He might be improving. He's definitely a lot older than he was when he came into the UFC, first of all. So I don't hold too much against him for losing to some fighters there, like Sean Brady, for example. I bet on Sean Brady in that fight, actually. And it was like a minus 110, which is kind of crazy. But, yeah, I just feel like Bruno Silva's getting older. His durability is going. I don't think he's ever had good takedown defense. Naurdiev can shoot takedowns here. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like a couple of years ago, I probably smashed Bruno Silva at this price, but it's just a fight I don't want nothing to do with, kind of like a couple of fights on this card. It's just, for me, it's just easier to pass. I understand the shots on Bruno Silva, but it might be a trap.
That's fair, especially at the price he's giving, plus now 155. It's kind of weird that he's plus 155 here in a fight where the guy's kind of chinny and hasn't looked all that great on the feet, even, 2 fights ago. Drav, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so that's obviously a step down in competition. Silva has been fighting elite guys compared to Naurdiev, who's been fighting lower level guys and not even winning some of these fights. But I mean, I've spot the decline of Silva for a couple fights now. After the Alex Pereira fight, you can see the fight against GM3. He didn't look the same. He said he was sick that fight. But since then, I thought that the guy was on the decline. Durability is not the same. I know on his record they said that he'd never been KO'd, but he got KO'd a couple times, but the guys prefer to submit him. So the chin's not as good anymore since the Alex Pereira fight. He's taking a lot of damage. He's getting older, so that's normal. And yeah, I fade him against Brendan Allen. I fade him against Shara, and I play a Weidman also. And yeah, he got high poke at the end. I know he's mad about it, but the reality is he was down 2-0 against Chris Weidman in 2024. So that's not a good look here. And Naurdiev, he's a good striker. He goes to the, he goes to all to all the targets, the legs, the body, everything. He does have some wrestling, and he can crack on the feet also. I just don't like that I've seen him getting dropped many times on the regional against guys that I don't really rate. Some of these fights, one of them he got club and sub. The fight against Marcin Bendo, right? He got dropped and then sub. He got knocked out against Kudzizi. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Kudzizi, it's a weird name. He got knocked out with leg kicks before that. So the guy has been, hit and miss. But some of these fights, I'll say, he was kind of winning before he get caught. But it just showed me that the guy can get cracked. He can get dropped. His chin's not the best. And Bruno Silva, the last thing to go in your career is your power. And the guy can still hurt people. He's still swing. And he's going to go for it, So I don't really think Naurdiev's going to wrestle much here. And if he does, I'm not sure he's going to hold him down. So I think they're going to swing on the feet. And you have a guy in Silva whose chin is not very good anymore, who's, can get submitted. He's been submitted 7 times in his career now. Naurdiev, he does have a submission game, so he could submit him. Naurdiev could knock him out also. And then Silva could absolutely knock this guy out. So he gave me 3 finishing path. And the under 2.5 is 55%-ish. I think that's the way to go here. You go under 2.5. You cover both guys finishing upside. And if they go to distance, be it. But I think there's a high chance that the fight finish. And I like that better than picking a side. For the sake of the show, I'll pick Naurdiev to win. I think Silva's on the big decline. And yeah, but I'm not confident. I wouldn't lay the price now. He was a pick him 2-3 days ago. And I think that was a solid bet. But now, at plus 155, if I had to take a money line side, it will be Silva. But I think the under is a better look personally. I don't know if you guys like the under, but I think violence here is the way to go.
No, I definitely like the under. I think the under is a good pick. Before we move on to the next one, what's up? Thanks, guys, for joining us. What's up, Prop? What's up, Ricky? Uncle Weezy?
Hey, what's up?
What's up, boys? Let's take a look here. Bruno KO 1-2, free money. Bruno.
Yeah, what's good, Dixon? Yeah, we're gonna talk about this one soon. I have an opinion here. But yeah, let's keep moving up. And so far, I mean, this fight's gonna be a banger. Whoever wins, probably gonna be chaos. So
I also forgot I had Weidman by KO plus 1,600 against Bruno Silva last fight, and it cashed, and then it got taken out after it got called back.
Weidman was plus 2x6. So that was good money.
Yeah, plus 1,600. You hate seeing that. All right, next fight. We got Farid Basharat versus Victor Hugo. Farid Basharat, 12-0, 27, 5'8" with a 71-inch reach. Victor Hugo, 24-5, 31, 5'7" with a 71-inch reach. Victor Hugo actually called for this fight. Odds on these two gentlemen, Basharat's anywhere from minus 650 to minus 700. Hugo's anywhere from plus 425 to plus 475, plus 500. Key, go ahead. Break it down for us first. Do you think this is an easy setup spot for Farid Basharat?
I wouldn't necessarily say easy because Hugo is a crafty grappler. On the feet, he's pretty creative. But I don't think that he has elite process, which I think is necessary to beat Basharat or even truly take rounds off of Basharat. I thought that the Lapilus fight was a very, very high level fight. And I think that Basharat so far in this UFC schedule has had a pretty, Damon Blackshear, Basharat, like those, Lapilus, those are solid fights getting into your first few UFC fights. I know that everybody was on Falcao last time out. I didn't personally touch that against Hugo. But like I said, the guy's a crafty grappler. I think that he makes some bad choices. I think he's going to hunt for some submissions. I don't think that Farid's a guy that's going to get submitted by him. I think that Farid can stay on the feet if he wants to because Hugo will freely back up and is fine with getting pressured. I think that Farid can cage, push, volume, and I think that he has strong top time upside. His wrestling is really, really solid. I know everybody's off his brother after the Zahavi loss, but Farid is really good still. He's really good. I know that he's made the move to ATT this camp, so I'm excited to see, one, who's in his corner, and two, getting away from Dewey Cooper. How do some of those ATT vitamins work out for him? So this is a fight. I'm not parlaying Basharat. I also wouldn't be surprised if he finds the finish. I know Hugo's been talking a lot of shit. So I wouldn't be surprised if he found the finish. But I personally have nothing on this fight as of right now.
Yeah, I don't have much different to say. I like everything he said. I also think Farid Basharat, once he gets the takedowns going, probably top time Hugo pretty bad. So, it's not really a hot take being that he's minus 650. I don't think he finds a finish. I think he probably finds a decision. But like I said, minus 650, I'm not really going to touch it. Lucrative, what are you thinking, man?
Yeah, same thing, man. I think Farid Basharat is one of the best prospects in the division, meaning that he's unranked at the moment, I believe. So he's still a prospect. He's a really elite fighter, man. He's great. His performance against Lapilus was like a Merab Dvalishvili type performance. I didn't know he had it in him to shoot 20 takedowns. Does anyone know how many takedowns he shot offhand? Because I know it was like 10 to 20.
I can give you that.
I should check that because that was a fucking elite performance, man. That was literally Merab Dvalishvili style performance.
So you went 5 on 16 takedown attempts.
Yeah, and it's kind of like Merab, right? If he gets stuffed, it doesn't matter because he's going to shoot another 10, 15, 20. In a 3-round fight to shoot 16 takedowns against an elite defensive grappler like Lapilus. And what I mean by that is he's going to make you work. He's going to make you tired by defending the takedowns. He defended 11 of them, so you should be gassed out by that. And he wasn't gassed out. He was mixing up. He was still landing strikes on the feet. He's a fucking good fighter, and I want to see how far he can take it. So I don't think someone like Victor Hugo is going to be able to stop him. That would be quite random based on, where I project him to be in a division. He could honestly even hit top 5 at some point, just based on the wrestling and cardio, man. That was a crazy performance. If it's not an outlier, top 5 for me. So that means he's going to win this fight. I don't know if he's going to win decision or inside the distance. Maybe Farid Basharat round 3/decision could be a good prop. Maybe you can play a bit on his round 3, play a bit on his decision line like I did with Darren Elkins last week and still come out of a profit. Could submit him in round 1 or round 2, I guess. It's not impossible. I feel like it's probably going to come when Hugo tires out. So, yeah, I don't mind the round 3 decision if you can get a decent price on that. I think he's going to win, though.
Drav, you got anything different here?
Yeah, it's more so if you think he finished or not. I'm not too confident about it. Hugo's cardio is just okay, but if you press him, if you pressure him, if you make him work, I think he's going to slow down. Basharat goes to the body. He shoots a lot of takedowns, like you said. He push a crazy pace. And on top, he has good ground and pound, good submission game. And the switch cam to ATT, like he mentioned, I think it's just going to be good for his style. And the guy, like you said, is very, very good for 15 minutes. He's also very durable. And, Hugo, that's a big step up for him because I agree with James. I think Basharat is super legit. People might think, his bro lost. But, Farid was always the better brother of the two. The guy is very, very good. So I don't think Hugo's going to be the one to take his O. But, Hugo can be a bit crafty with the submission. He can be dangerous on the feet. But he does too many dumb stuff, and I think he's gonna end up on his back, and then Basharat's gonna go to work. If I had to play anything there, I would probably play like Basharat round 2, round 3, because I don't think he finished in 1. And if he does cover his price tag, he'd probably dominate or find a finish at some point. So I think round 2, 3 is the way to go. I'm not sure if he does find it, but if he finds a finish, it's going to be late in the fight. So yeah, I like him too. And obviously he's a big favorite, but yeah, kind of looking forward to it. I like him.
Yep, sharp play by Delkin with that Elkins play. I agree. Varied by a unanimous decision. What up, Dogfather? What's happening? Thanks for joining us. Next fight here we will do is Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Chris Barnett.
Banger.
There you go. Kennedy Nzechukwu is 12-5, 32-6'5" with an 83-inch reach. Chris Barnett is 38-5'9" with a 75-inch reach. This is like a mix and match fight. Chris Barnett was supposed to fight 2 weeks ago against the Tafa brother. Whatever happened in Florida destroyed his house, so he had to go take care of that. Now he's back here fighting Kennedy. Line these two gentlemen, Kennedy's anywhere from -750 to -900. Chris Barnett is +475 to +600. Drew, I'll have you go first. I mean, does Kennedy find the finish here, or does Chris Barnett hit him with like a spinning wheel kick and knock him out?
I mean, you know, it could be a weird fight because Kennedy's moving up to heavyweight, and he was kind of chinny at 205. Was it because of the weight cut? I don't know, but you know, he's a big dude, so I think it might be a good move for him to move up. And recently in his career, he has shown, you know, shooting more takedowns, doing more grappling and stuff, and he has long arms. And you know, so I think at heavyweight, these guys don't really know how to grapple. Barnett doesn't have good cardio. Kennedy push a pace and find finishes round 2, 3 normally. He's a slow starter. Might be a problem here because, you know, Barnett could land something big and catch him early. But as the fight goes on, man, round 2, 3, I think it's going to be all Kennedy. The under 1.5 is listed as a pick 'em. I think it's kind of tricky because it could go over easily too. I'm not sure about the over under. But I'll say, I know Kennedy doesn't have a lot of subs, but he does attempt some submission in his career, you know, in the UFC. And he has shown grappling recently. And, you know, I think he has an easy grappling path here if he wants. And if he gets on top or hurt Chris Barnett, or if Chris Barnett slowed down, I think he could easily submit him, you know. So the KO is -160. There's no value on that. But the submission is +550. But like I said, I don't think he's going to submit him in round 1. So on Bet Online, they have submission round 2 for Kennedy at +1800 and submission round 3 at +2500. It's probably going to be even better on commercial when they open it. They didn't yet, so just keep an eye on that. I think it could be a sneaky way to play this one. But yeah, I do think Kennedy is going to win. Maybe he's going to hurt him, club and sub, or just grapple him and submit him. But I kind of think he's live to submit him in round 2, 3. So maybe I'll look into it. I'm not sure yet, but I think he's deciding he's going to win. I just no way I can pay a price like him. I can pay a price like that for a guy like him. But, you know, Chris Barnett's not very good, and he's 38 years old, and he doesn't have good cardio. So, yeah, it should be a fight where Kennedy look good, but we'll see.
Yeah, for me, I have no interest betting this fight. I think Kennedy wins, but like I said, odds are too wide. Everything's kind of gross. Go grab a drink, sit down, enjoy the fight. Hopefully Chris Barnett does something crazy, and then we'll move on to the next one. Lucrative, what do you got here? Anything different? Any sharp angles on this one?
It's hard to get a sharp angle on this one, man. I was speaking to my mate earlier, and we was talking about the fights. We were saying what we're going to bet on, etc., etc. And I said to him, you know, I kind of like the over in this fight. Kennedy's a slow starter usually. You know, I don't think he's going to be the one getting dropped like he has done a couple of times in round 1. You know, he's got it put on him a few times and even finished in that round. I don't think Barnett's going to be the one doing it. So kind of like the over here, you know, probably Kennedy finishes him late. And then as I was talking about it a bit more, as he said his opinion, as I went back and forth, I just came to the conclusion on why the fuck am I even speaking about betting on this fight? Because it's an extremely volatile fight. Both fighters can't be trusted. There's even more volatility, Kennedy moving up to heavyweight. Chris Barnett's been out the octagon for a couple of years. I will say I think Chris Barnett is the worst fighter in modern UFC history to have 5 fights or more. I think he's absolutely terrible. I think he's really, really bad at MMA. no disrespect, even though that was kind of disrespectful. I gotta call it like I see it, right? Like someone's got to be the worst fighter in the modern UFC history. There has to be one person, right?
Yeah.
And outside of these people that have made a debut, I'm saying like 5 fights or more. I think it's Chris Barnett. He should probably be at like welterweight or something like that. But he's at heavyweight. I just don't think he's going to win the fight, so I can't trust him. But I also think that he's kind of tough. I will say that he grits it out. He can last. Martin Buday took him to a decision. Ben Rothwell got him out of there, but he was running away and doing his best to survive for a while. And Kennedy, like I said, slow starter, not really someone that's going to put it on you too much unless you oblige in that game. And Chris Barnett kind of jumps on the outside, does his city kicks and stuff. So I could see this being a bullshit round 1, getting into round 2, Barnett gassing out, Kennedy butchering him in a clinch, and then getting a finish in round 2. So official prediction is round 2 Kennedy. If it's decent price, I might play it. But I'm staying off the over. And the main reason for that specifically is because when I was speaking to my mate, he said, don't you think Kennedy could just get him up against the fence like Buday did? But instead of just laying on him with fat like Buday did, he could actually land elbows and knees. Because Kennedy can be a little bit brutal in that clinch. And I said, yeah, that is a massive possibility. So that's why I'm staying off the over. Kennedy round 2, I may play that. Outside of that, I'll probably just pass.
All right. Key, anything from you? Key, anything?
Oh shit! My fault. My shit was lagging. Nah, I think that Chris Barnett is probably gonna get sent home here with another L. I mean, I know the guy's fun and shit, but yeah, this isn't a fight for him. It sucks that they're giving terrible prices on round 2, round 3 Kennedy. But yeah, I think the Kennedy should butcher him. I'm not a fan of Kennedy at heavyweight. I'm not sure what's going on. Based off of his Instagram, I'm not even sure if he's like truly taking MMA training as much seriously. He owns a gym now. He's doing like his own strength and conditioning training. So I don't know if he's sort of just phasing out of the fight world or what it is, but not really a good look on that end. Is he going to win? Yes. I personally just can't get down behind minus 900. I think that's crazy. But Barnett, like Lucas said, is probably pound for pound one of the worst to ever do it. So for me, I gotta pass here. But I do hope for a fun fight. Hopefully Barnett hits him with some crazy shit and at least makes us get out of our seats.
Yeah, I agree. What up, Fight Talk? He did our thumbnail for this card. Appreciate the work he does. He does great graphic work. Shout out to him.
Big one.
And then no disrespect. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
a little disrespectful, but hey, it's all right. It's Chris Barnett.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, look at him. Just look at the picture. He's, it's okay. It's okay. He's fun though, but yeah.
All right. Our next fight we have is Abus Magomedov versus Bruno Ferreira. Abus Magomedov is 26-6-1. He's 34-6-2 with 78-inch reach. Bruno Ferreira is 12-1-0. He's 31. He's 5'10 with a 72-inch reach. Odds on these two gentlemen, you get Abus anywhere from minus 145 to minus 150. You can get Bruno Ferreira anywhere from plus 115 to plus 125. Lucrative, I'm going to have you go first. Big step down for Abus Magomedov. You think he finds the finish here, or is it going to be Bruno finding that finish?
Yeah, I wish, since I'm going first, I wish I could give you something a little bit better, but honestly just don't have a good read on this fight, so I can't say too much. I think that because the reason I don't is because I can see both angles. On one hand, I feel like Ferreira coming through with heavy knockout power in round 1, putting the pressure on, that could scare Abus off a little bit. Abus has made some questionable decisions in the cage, he got knocked out brutally against Lewis Taylor. Obviously, anyone can get knocked out by athletic guys, but Ferreira's a pretty athletic guy. So I definitely could see a round 1 knockout for Ferreira. And then on the other hand, I could see Abus grappling in him, dominating him, especially if he takes the fight down. He showed a little bit better in his last fight that he's got maybe better gas tank than we thought. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think overall, I'll say Magomedov is the better fighter at MMA. And since he's the better fighter at MMA, he'll probably be able to win the fight with his grappling more than likely. He's good at range control as well. So I think that negates Ferreira's round 1 chances a little bit more. than Ferreira's chances to negate the grappling, because I don't think he has much chance to do that. So that's why I'm going to pick Magomedov. I'm picking him because his range control can negate Ferreira's best weapon, whereas I don't think Ferreira can negate Abus's best weapon in this fight, which is most likely the grappling. So I'll go with Abus, but I can't really trust him. And, I bet on him like plus 300 against Bahayo, and it seemed like a winnable fight. And he's just like thrown it away by doing absolutely nothing. Getting dropped late into the fight, just looked shit. Nothing happened, and he gassed out badly with like literally nothing happening. Just pissed me off. And so I can't trust him personally, but in my opinion, volatile fight. But I'll go with Magomedov.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you here. I watched the tape on it because I was actually on Chow Bralho in that fight. At first I thought it was clear for Chow. Obviously, it was closer than I thought. Honestly, on second rewatch, some of the things I think are going to work out here for Abus is the front kick that he throws. That's going to help against Bruno Ferreira. Also, the long straight punches down the pipe. I believe that's what he got finished by when Ferreira fought Nursultan Ruzabayev, kind of a similar build to him. So I could see something like that working out. The striking, I think if there's any grappling upside, it's going to be Abus as well. Bruno hasn't made it past round. I think he's made it to round 2 once, but he hasn't made it over a round and a half ever in his career. He's looked like he's slowed in some fights, but other than that, going through these tapes, I kind of was looking at it like Bruno is losing every single fight until he finds that knockout. I'd say the closest one that he was close to winning would be Phil Hawes, but even then, I think it was relatively competitive, and I think it only would have gotten worse for him if he wouldn't have found that knockout. So I played 2 units on Abus. I think I got him minus 138. Happy with that bet. I think it's also a step down in competition for him. He obviously fought the past 2 fights. Chow Bralho, that aged well. Sean Strickland aged well. You watch how they both fought. Stu Foltz, obviously. Stu Foltz was beating up on Bruno pretty bad before he found the finish. And then, obviously, Abus walked right through Stu Foltz. So there's a little bit of a ruler there if you want. Warley Alvarez, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Bruno Ferreira. He's got the similar build, both strong strikers. Obviously, Bruno is probably a younger, more athletic version of him. But Warley's got that similar build, and we saw how he dealt with Warley pretty well. So I'm happy with the boost. What are you thinking, Key?
Yeah, I think you just butchered like 4 names in a row. That shit was hilarious.
That's what I do. Professionally, it's what I do.
But butchered every name besides Sean Strickland, your brother. but nah, I think that a boost here is the side. I do think that this is a somewhat volatile fight. But going into tape, I didn't think that I'd be super high on a boost. But I think that him putting in 15 minutes, and although I'm not going to say that it was like the cleanest 15 minutes of all time, it seems to be a lot mental with him. Because like Lucrative said, in that fight against Bahayo, like he just gassed, like weirdly with nothing, like no super high pace, no nothing. It wasn't like Bahayo had the performance he had against Cannonier or anything. Like he just gassed. And so I'm not sure if he just freaks out in there or what it is, if he just can't get a guy out there early. But I think that the Alves fight did him some good. He met some sort of resistance, showed off his grappling, which I think does translate super well to this fight. Bruno, I don't rate the guy highly at all. I mean, round 1 or bust, in my opinion. The Stoltzfus win was not a very good win. I mean, you got to give it to him. He figured out a way to win. But that was not a good look. He looked like he got shot like 3 minutes into the fight. Like it was disgusting scene. So I think the Boost is going to be able to manage the distance. I think he's going to be able to cage push. I think he's going to be able to wrestle if he wants to here. And I also give a Boost finishing upside early too. Like it's not like I don't think that he can't match the power of Bruno at all. Like this isn't just Bruno's going to steamroll him round 1 or anything. Like I think that a Boost can bonk him back. So really, I'm not saying that I didn't play crazy units on a Boost, and he is coming out as my free bet of the week, but I think that he's going to get this done here. So many physical advantages. I think he's going to look absolutely massive at face-offs against Bruno. And Bruno with those T-Rex arms, I just don't see it happening. I don't think that this is RoboCop Part 2. So I think the Boost looks good here. And probably goes on to get another decent level fight in this division. I don't think he'll ever be a top 10 guy or anything, but he'll get another mid-tier fight, and I think we'll keep on pushing with his UFC career.
Jeff, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, not sure I would ever say that, but I think the line should be way wider. Like pre-tape, I thought I would just pass on it. Seems very volatile. But then, man, there's so many advantage for Magomedov here. You know, he's taller, longer, bigger by a good bit. And, you know, the guy fought way better people. He took a round of Sean Strickland. He took a round of Carl Barrow. And, you know, he lost these fights, you know, but very, very competitive till he get finished against Sean, and very competitive versus Barrow. He almost won that fight, you know, so that was impressive. And they both fought Stolfus, you know. Magomedov insta-kill him, and Ferreira went to a war with him. I think it was a terrible look. He got taken down in that fight as well. Magomedov wrestling's pretty good, you know, so I think he could get takedowns here. I'll say Ferreira judo throw and just his judo in general is pretty good, but I'm pretty confident Abus could take him down. And if he does have a good top game, you know, so there's a path for him in the wrestling grappling. I think he has the upside in this area. And then on the feet, I mean, like I said, he's the bigger, taller, longer guy who has more tools. He goes with the front kicks very well. He's way better at distance. It's not even close. And the problem here with Ferreira is like he's almost always on the back foot. And then he has some burst. You need to pressure Abus. You need to pressure cook him. You need to make him, you know, on court. You need to bully him. Ferreira is not going to do that. He's going to allow Abus to dictate the pace, to be the one. He will let Abus pressure him, and then it will be easier to get takedowns, and it will be easier to get his range control because he's way better at distance. Like I said, he's gonna kick him. He's gonna kick him, and man, I think he has also the better cardio. I know his cardio is not great, but at the end of the day, he's 6-2 to the decisions, you know. So he went 8 times to distance. Ferreira never went past 6 minutes in a fight, and I know we can't guarantee that that he has a bad gas tank, but the way he fight and the way he look after 3-4 minutes, I'm very sure his cardio is not good, you know. So you have to favor Abus a lot after round 2-3 just because he's the more proven fighter against the better people. And then I was thinking, oh, Ferreira, you have to favor him in round 1, and I'm not even sure of that, you know. I think in round 1 they can both finish each other. You know, but I think Ferreira path to victory is like a KO1 here. If he doesn't KO him early, I think he's going to lose round 2-3 or get finished late, and he could still finish himself in the first round. And Magomedov could wrestle him, he could submit him, he could win a decision if it goes all 15 minutes. So give me the guy who was way more experienced, who fought the better guys in the UFC, who, like I said, is bigger, taller, longer, who has more tools, who has wrestling, grappling upside. At like what, minus 130? Yes, he could get chin early, and I look dumb, but that's the path of Ferreira. He could get chin himself early too. We've seen that happen in the UFC already. So, yeah, I think Abus decided here. I think the price should be way higher. I think it should be around minus 200, and bookies are saying minus 130. So, yeah, it's my free bet of the week. It's big bet for 2 and 3 units. So, I like him a good bit here.
All right.
And he's also the hometown fighter. He's the Magomedov here, you know, so another plus.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. RoboCop, he was taller and bigger. RoboCop was also, I think he was beating him pretty bad before he got knocked out.
Yeah, I'll say it was close, but RoboCop is known to have a dodgy chin and get caught. When you lose, you get KO in round 1. And I think James even called that to happen, if I'm not mistaken. So, did you, James? I think you had KO1.
I played him plus 1,000 KO1.
Yeah. I mean, all the time RoboCop lost. Almost all of them are like KO1 when you get caught early. So Abus could get caught. He could get caught early. It could happen. So
yeah, Uncle Weezy.
Yeah, I'm glad you agree with Z, man. I think he's a very good spot. One of my favorite spot on the card.
And you guys are right. You know, Abus could catch him early as well. Let's not forget the Sultan Ruzabayev fight that happened. We've seen him get caught early before. That was very early. And Abu's, he's done that throughout his career to a few guys. Against durable guys as well. Stoltzfus is, I know it doesn't seem it. Stoltzfus got knocked out in round 1 by both these guys, but Stoltzfus is fucking durable guys. So, either fighter could finish in round 1 for sure. It's not only Ferreira.
All right. Yeah, so I accidentally, there was a guy talking shit in the chat, and I went to ban him and mute him, and I accidentally banned and muted Fight Talk. And
that Danny is my training partner. He's fucking
okay. So I didn't know.
He called me, and I sent him the link. I was like, bro, I can't speak, I'm live. And then he's coming in chatting shit because I didn't answer his call. So
I would have known that. I wouldn't have banned him. I just banned everyone. I actually banned the guy who does our graphics too. Supposedly you can't unban people.
Leave him banned, bro.
Can you actually not unban people on here? I didn't even know you could do that. Real quick, Luca, did you take a bet on this one? This guy's asking.
No, I'm not on anyone. I think it's a volatile fight, but I picked Magomedov to get the win.
Okay. Yo, low key at first, I thought Rebecki kind of looked like Liam. I don't know why. First look.
He does look like Liam.
It looks exactly that is Liam.
That's what I thought too when I saw that.
Everybody say it every week. I'll say Liam Airlines bit better. I listened to his podcast today. He's like, I got better airlines, so I'll give him that. But yeah, I can see the beard, the eyes, the looks.
He's scrapper as well, man. Shout out to Liam.
Yeah, shout out to Liam. All right, let's get on to this next one. We got Magomedov Orolbai versus Mateusz Rebecki. Magomedov Orolbai is 13-1. He's 26, 5'10" with a 74-inch reach. Mateusz Rebecki is 19-2. He's 32, 5'7", 66-inch reach. Odds in these two gentlemen, you get Orolbai anywhere from -300 to -330. You can get Rebecki anywhere from +225 to +260. Drav, is this a crazy, massive market overcorrection on Rebecki here? He just went from a -450 favorite against CDF or Carlos Diego Ferreira, and now he's, or whatever it is, and now he's a +250 underdog to Magomedov Orolbai, who just went, pretty head-to-head with Elvis Brenner and had a hard time there. So what do you think?
Yeah, James mentioned earlier that he didn't have a good read on the past fight, and that's kind of the same for me here. I could see a lot of different things happening, and Rebecki also feel like a trap this week, because the price is tempting. He's a big underdog. The guy has very good skills, and he just got finished in his last fight. So it feels like the market's overrating Orolbai, recency bias, and then you're also paying the hype tax on Orolbai because the guy is good, but he does have a lot of hype on him. And Rebecki, people are low on him now. He used to be a big favorite, and now he's a big underdog the next fight right after that. So I see what the market's doing here. I see the people parlaying Orolbai, and I understand why. The guy's very good. He pushed a crazy pace, and I don't think Rebecki can handle the pace that he's pushing. So in round 2-3, it's probably going to be sketchy. Orolbai does hit hard on the feet. He has good wrestling. And he has a submission game, and he has good cardio. I think that he can still slow down himself in round 3. I've seen him taken down, getting his back taken in fights. And Rebecki in round 1, he goes all in. I think he win the first round here, and then it's gonna come to round 2. I think after 6-7 minutes, he's not the same fighter, which could be a problem. But man, on the feet, he does have big power. He dropped CDF early. Let's not forget that. He won the first round, and then he kind of gassed out. But CDF is known to be a hard guy to grapple. And I wanted to bet CDF all week there. It was +300 or something. I didn't do it. CDF, veteran of the game, top 15 guy, very, very high-level grappler, and he's very hard to control. So, yeah, in this fight, the thing that I'm not sure to have a good read on is who's going to be the one pressuring. Rebecki is always pressuring early, and Orolbai doesn't accept the back foot often. So if Rebecki come in, pressure heavy, leg kicks, the leg kick's going to be a big weapon for him. Maybe drop Orolbai, but Orolbai durability is very good. But I think Rebecki is going to win the first round. And then round 2-3 is going to be sketchy. I think Orolbai take over and potentially finish him late. But like I said, Orolbai slowed down himself a little bit in round 3 in high-paced fight. and Rebecki is going to push the pace early, destroy the leg potentially, which could affect Orolbai after. And, you know, so I don't think you can lay the price on Orolbai here, minus 300. I think the line is wide. But I also think that he win in minus EV decision or if a late finish somehow. But a guy like Rebecki with all his skills, with all his, you know, his upside at the price, I think he's the side if I had to take a bet. But since I don't have a good read on it, I'll just end up passing on the fight in general. And I'll see, because, you know, the Parlay boys, big pay-per-view, they're back in town. And maybe Orolbai get to minus 350, minus 400, you know. And if I can get Rebecki to plus 300 or something, then even if I'm not like super confident that he's going to win or something, at these type of prices, you can take risk and it's going to be fine, you know. So he looks like a value loser this week to me, but man, this price is hard to ignore. So let me know what you guys think, though, because I think it's a tricky fight to call, and the price doesn't say it.
Yeah, I'll go quick. I'm not touching this fight here. You guys obviously know I'm a Miktebek Orolbai guy through and through. That's my boy. I saw the opening line was like minus 110, then it was minus 175. I couldn't get it down on DraftKings, and before you know it, it was out of hand. Unfortunately, I think it's got to be dog or pass here. I do think Miktebek Orolbai wins from a fight standpoint, so I'll pick him to win. But I think from a value standpoint and from a gambling standpoint, you probably got to play the dog here. It seems like a massive market overcorrection. If you look at a piece of paper, right, and you give it to them, you got to assume you give Rebecki at least round 1 or 2, right? Round 3 is going to be a toss-up because both guys have relatively bad cardio. And I guess round 1, you probably got to give it to Miktebek Orolbai. I think it's one of those things that you can live bet and see how it goes. If Miktebek Orolbai is able to get the wrestling going and get Rebecki down and top time him, or he's beating him up on the feet, then hey, you can get a live bet on Rebecki. But if it goes the other way around, I think that's the way you look at it. But it's got to be dog or pass here from a gambling standpoint. If not, I wouldn't be parlaying Orolbai. What do you think, Lucrative?
Yeah, first of all, this is an amazing fight. Can't wait for this one. 2 grapplers. And you know what happens when 2 grapplers fight? You know, they swing. So we could be in for a swinging contest, at least round 1. It's a tough one for me because I think that there is clear value on the side of Rebecki, but we don't always play when there's value. You know, there's a lot of other things you have to look at in the fighter's upside, etc., etc. One thing that wasn't released in the media that will probably be quite interesting to people is, and I've heard from a trusted source that has some connections to the Orolbai camp and that side of the world, that Orolbai had bad food poisoning on the day that he fought Elvis Brenner. So, you know, that somewhat explains some of his gas tank issues and conditioning issues in that fight, even though he still showed pretty solid gas tank and conditioning issues based on, you know, how the fight played out. It was a very high volume fight, high pace fight, a lot of reverses, scrambles. So that doesn't mean everything, but, you know, we do take it into consideration. Maybe he would have had a cleaner performance, even though he still won that fairly cleanly. And that's what you would look at, right? Like, outside of that fight, there's not too much to look at in his career to say, you know, I'm comfortable playing Rebecki here, even at big prices. That's up for discussion. Obviously, some people may feel different, but, you know, it's hard to bet against a guy who hasn't really put a foot wrong. The only foot wrong he's really put in recent years is that Elvis Brenner fight. And that was still a clean performance. And then after hearing he had food poisoning badly on the day of the fight, it kind of just, it makes me just want to stay off it. You know, Rebecki he's slowed down in multiple fights, even, you know, in fights that he didn't have too much resistance in. So I feel like Orolbai probably has a better gas tank. I don't know who's a better striker. It's hard for me to determine that. I didn't really pay too much attention to it, to be honest, because I couldn't get a good read early on. And something I do is, if I can't get a good read early on, sometimes I don't just waste hours and hours watching tape. Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? Don't think I'm going to have a good read on this fight. I've been betting the game for a long time, so I can kind of tell if I'm going to have a good read within the first 2 fights anyway. And yeah, again, I don't have a great read on this one. I will say that there's some value on Rebecki. There must be value on Rebecki at this massive price. You know, there's a good chance he's going to win round 1. Well, there's a good chance that he has a good chance to win round 1 at least, right? Like Dravi said. And if that's the case, it's 1-0 going into, you know, the next 2 rounds. Like, anything can happen in MMA. He hits hard, could definitely get a knockdown. But I think Orolbai hits harder as well. Seems to me that Orolbai is the one that pushes through fatigue better. Seems to be that he's the one that has more upside to just clean Rebecki out round 1, 2, and 3, whereas Rebecki seems like best case scenario, he probably starts well, then fades. So, yeah, with that being said, probably still value on the massive, massive price of Rebecki, but I will pick Orolbai to, continue his winning streak in the UFC.
Key, what are you thinking here? And then we'll move on.
Yeah, I think that we're paying this weird tax on all Muslims, period, for most of his card. And then this guy, I feel like we're paying like extra aura and like hype tax just because he looks like prehistoric and like
extra aura tax.
Like it's kind of crazy to me. So, yeah, I think that there's some value on Liam here. I think that Liam could potentially win round 1. I know that Liam's been putting in a lot of work grappling, so we'll see. But in all seriousness, I think that Orolbai gets it done here, but I'm not super high on him. Rebecki took a generational ass whooping from CDF, and that was just a crazy round 2 or round 3. But I think that that's something. I think one, it's a good learning lesson for Rebecki. I don't think that he's a quitter. He showed it in that fight 1. But I don't think that he's the type of guy that's going to mentally break after a loss like that. So I expect him to come in here and slang leather as usual and wrestle hard. But it's going to be interesting to see how these grappling exchanges do play out because both guys are like physically like strong as fuck. So I'm really interested for this fight. I think this fight's going to end up being a potential fight of the night candidate. So I think there's some value on Rebecki, but I'm not super enticed to get involved here. So it'll probably be a pass for me.
I mean, if you don't think Orolbai has a finishing upside and we all think he goes to decision, what is the +3.5, the spread on Rebecki? If you think he's going to win a round, is that plus odds? If he's plus, 250?
Hold on, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah,
it's plus 120. It's ugly.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah.
You may as well just take the dog shot. We'll just go through comments real quick. I think you're right. I think the only fight Orolbai did lose was a wrestling match for the most part.
I mean, yeah, the guy wrestled with him, but they were striking for a long period of time also. He won early and then he kind of lost the fight later on. But it was earlier in his career, though. I'll say he did improve since then, especially in the striking. His striking got a lot better. But, yeah, what's up, Ozzy? What's up, guys? Don't forget to smash the like for us. We're going to enter the main card pretty soon. I think it's the next fight, right? Oh,
no,
it's not
2 fights. Dude, I don't know if Tapology is right. It's got like the craziest fight being there for.
Yeah, I mean, Ibo Aslan being the last fight on the prelim is kind of weird, right?
It's crazy.
I guess it's because he has a big following. He has like 120K on Instagram, I think.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Next fight we have. This is crazy that this fight isn't even close to isn't on the main card, and it's not on the main event of the prelims. It's Jeff Hands of Steel Neal versus RDA Rafael Dos Anjos. Jeff Neal is 15-5, or that's a 6. He's 34, 5'11 with a 75-inch reach. RDA is 32-16. He's 40 years old, 5'8", 70-inch reach. Line on these two gentlemen, you can get Jeff Neal anywhere from -300 to -335. You can get RDA anywhere from +225 to +255. Key, it seems like RDA is a pretty popular dog pick from a lot of people this week. Obviously, it's probably because of the cage push and grappling upside, and they're assuming Jeff Neal is going to gas and not find a KO. How do you think this fight goes?
Yeah, I think that really the only way for Jeff Neal to justify this price tag probably is through KO. It's at -280 now. I do think that he wins, but I don't think that RDA is like just a dead body. I think that he's still physical. He's going to cage push. He's probably going to try to wrestle a good bit. I think that Jeff Neal gets it done here. And this is kind of weird matchmaking to put them in Abu Dhabi. There's plenty of other bangers that they probably could have got on this card than this. I don't think that this was a good matchmaking. But yeah, RDA back at 170. He's talked about how he does not want to keep on cutting that weight. Then he went back down for the Gamrot fight, damn near killed Gamrot. Luckily, my boy Dan Hooker finished the job off of UFC 305. But I don't really understand this matchmaking. Jeff Neal's a guy who will look like $1 million one day and then will be frozen the next day. You just don't really know what you're getting here. For me, I can understand Jeff Neal's a potential parlay piece, and I'll probably take this one a little bit deeper. But I'm not too enthused to be laying minus 280 with Jeff Neal coming off 2-4 in his last 6. I mean, that's a tough sell for me right now. But yeah, it's a pass as of right now. But we'll see how this develops.
Yeah, Lucrative. You got anything on this one? How do you see this one going?
Yeah, so this is a tough one for me, man, because it's another fight where I feel like there could be value on the underdog, but how much value? And then what does his win condition look like? And do I really want to risk it? 2024 for me has been a year of me betting on these big underdogs, and they're looking 50-50, thereabouts, and then they're losing close decisions. So do I really want to go back to another big underdog? I need to really look at my process because I've been losing a lot of money on that this year. I need to really look at my process and find out, am I doing something wrong or am I being unlucky? And I think it's honestly a combination of both. Like RDA, for example, I bet on him against Gamrot at like plus 300 or something ridiculous. And obviously, he almost finishes him in round 1 and then he loses a very, very close decision. And then the next fight, Gamrot faces Dan Hooker. And I say to myself, all right, I don't want to be in that same position where I'm betting on this big underdog and he's probably going to have a close decision. So I don't want to do that again, right? I did it with RDA. And then Dan Hooker gets the decision. So it's a fucking tough game, man. It's like, do you bet these big underdogs when probably they can only win a close decision anyway? Or do you just pass on it because it's only a close decision? So, sometimes you have to, sometimes you don't. It's just matchup dependent. And that's where I'm stuck at the moment. I think that there's definitely value on his line. I think that it really just depends on how the matchup plays out, because there's definitely a world in which Jeff Neal kind of just hurts him in round 1 and kind of snowballs and RDA doesn't get his game going. There's also a chance in which RDA kicks his leg a couple of times, makes him hesitant, grapples him, pushes him up against the cage, and then it snowballs for RDA. A lot of times these matchups are so early moment dependent on how the momentum is going to snowball that it's very hard to predict. So I think there's value on RDA. I may bet on RDA, but I don't know, man. So I'll probably what you guys have to say, and that'll be capped into my process as well.
So Dog actually just sent a message in here. Me and him had a conversation about this because we were doing the same thing. Like we were betting these wide dogs, and we were kind of looking at it and going back and looking at the statistics. It's these wide dogs that are older. It's the older guys that aren't cashing as big dogs anymore, as it is just the wide dogs in general. It's kind of just the older guys letting us down at big odds. But yeah, for this fight, I think it's pretty tough to get. I was originally on Jeff Neal. I had him in a parlay, but I think it was like closer to minus 275. After taping it and looking at it, I don't know. I think it lost because of Kyler Phillips. It's kind of a disgusting parlay with Phillips and Jeff Neal. But now that I'm off it, I didn't really look to reparlay him again, just because I think, kind of like what Key said, he's got to find the finish to cover this price tag at this rate. And if RDA does, pull something out of left field and is able to cage push him, we could definitely see Jeff Neal get cage push. So I remember correctly, Neil Magny cage pushed him. Obviously, RDA is not the same size as Neil Magny, but grappling level, probably close to the same. RDA is an elite grappler. And I mean, if he gets him up against the cage, I can't see like Jeff Neal separating to cover the price tag. So probably stay off. I like the Dog just mentioned in the comments. He just mentioned the over. I don't mind the over either, honestly, just because I don't really see a finish coming here too early. I mean, it would have to be like either a Jeff Neal knockout early, or I think the fight goes the distance at a pretty high clip. So I'll take the over, but I guess if I got to pick a side, I'm going to pick Jeff Neal. Trav, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I like Neal here. I don't think RDA is going to win it. I could see a world where like he edge out a close decision, but the thing is, I don't think he's going to get his wrestling going here. Neal has elite takedown defense. I could see RDA controlling him against the fence a little bit. But I mean, even on the feet, you're gonna have Neal landing the way bigger shots, doing more damage, and he's the bigger, stronger, younger guy by 6 years. And RDA looked like he doesn't really know what to do with his career anymore. You know, he said he's done with 155, then he dropped back to 155 again, then he go back up to 170. Retirement is close, I have to believe. He's 40 years old. So Neal, he lost close decisions to Yan Gary, who was one of the best prospect at welterweight. And then, you know, he lost to Shavkat, who was fighting for a title in a fight where he was super competitive and he had his moments. And he beat the shit out of Vincente Luque the fight prior to that. And the same Luque was concussed and chin is kind of gone and he's a quitter now, look like. The same Luque fought RDA and wrestled fucking. So that was surprising. Was not a good look for RDA. Used to be, you know, he's smarter than these guys, but he's too old to make 155. He's a good striker. I understand that he could win a close decision, but I think Neal has all the finishing upside. I think he has good takedown defense. He's gonna land the bigger shot on the feet, and he's the much younger guy. So I think he's gonna get it done. He could catch him, drop him, or maybe knock him out. But I kind of think he win like a clear decision. So the over for me, I think, is also a good look. But I think Neal money line, you know, around -230, -250. It was. Now I don't really know about the current price. I think it's -300 seems accurate to me. I don't really think there's value on RDA, but I know he's a popular dog. So,
all right, I think that's everyone. We'll do these comments. Neal over.
Yeah, he's probably gonna try to wrestle, but I really don't think he's gonna have much success. I think he could control him against the fence for a bit, but how does it score? You know, these days control against defense with no damage, it doesn't really do much.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that seems fair.
No, I don't think Neal KO1. I don't see it happening. I think if he knocks him out, it's gonna be late in the fight, round 2-3, because RDA is durable, and when he gets knocked out, it's normally later in the fight. You know, so I kind of see it similar to the physique fight, but against a guy who hit harder, was bigger. And RDA is like 2 years older now. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. This is the main event of the prelims, which is kind of crazy. It's Ibo Aslan versus Rafael Cerqueira. It's a tough one. Ibo is 13-1, 28, 6'3", to 77.5-inch reach. Rafael is 11-0, 34, 6'4". They're not giving you the rest of it. Odds on these two gentlemen, you can get Ibo Aslan anywhere from -115 to +100. You can get Rafael anywhere from -120 to -115. I'll go quick just because I don't have really much to say. I think I said something similar on Dana White Contender Series a few weeks ago. There's like no tape on this guy Rafael, or at least I couldn't find it. So if I can't really find the tape to prove it, I'm just going to go with the other guy. Ibo Aslan, I was there live when he fought Anton Turkaj. He has good striking. He's pretty good as a striker, I think. Only issue with him is he's just like a musclehead gas bag, which could be an issue here. But I think that if they're giving him a main event or a prelim main event for a big card like this, I think they're trying to set him up for a KO. Obviously, Rafael has never lost, so I can't promise anything like that. And there's only like one fight you can see on tapes from what I understand. So I'm just going to go with Ibo here. But from a betting standpoint, I'm totally passing. I guess if I have to bet one, I'll take Ibo. Lucrative, what are you thinking, man?
Yeah, I didn't tape this fight. So someone told me that there's no tape of Rafael. There's like 1 or 2 fights. So I haven't taped it, boys, honestly. I probably will tape it before the fights come. But yeah, no tape, sorry.
So they're saying he's Jelton's training partner.
Yeah. So they do train together. I think for a couple of years, he's at the same gym as Jelton Almeida. He does some grappling on Instagram. You can see you can see some of his shit on Instagram, and you're gonna be able to watch a highlights video that lasted like 2.5 minutes. I think you're gonna see him, you know, some moments of his fights. There's also a fight on Instagram. You can see like a couple clips of it, and there's only one full fight which lasted 4 minutes against Diaz. The guy's 1-1. It was this year, so it was recent. And I mean, I'm not sure what to think about this guy. I don't think he's that good, you know. The 2 subs he got a takedown, and then he go arm triangle right away. But then you look the guy that he submitted, they got submitted multiple times. Low level guys, you know, padded records kind of. And yeah, I don't think he's that good, man, because like he's a pretty decent striker with what I've seen against bad competition, but he kind of get hit a bit too much against these guys. The guy that I've watched fight, at least, you know, he was like, when he was hitting him, pressuring him, and he was backing up with the hands like that. And I think against a guy like Ebo, it could be a problem because Ebo does hit hard. He does have good leg kicks, and with the little films I was able to watch, I think that the leg kicks could be a problem. I think the power of Ebo could be a problem. You know, this guy, we don't even know if he has a good chin, you know. And Ebo, we know that he can correct. We know that he's kind of durable, and he's a decent striker. I don't think he's that good. Training at Extreme Couture, so he's also at a good camp. He's the A side on the media. You know, he has 160K followers on Instagram, and they're putting him there on the, you know, on the last fight of the prelims. And he's kind of the hometown fighter. He's not like from there, but he's the A side from the matchup. Already made his UFC debut. Didn't look great, but he still managed to get the job done later in the fight. So I think that was a decent look for him. But yeah, I don't think he's that good. I don't think both these guys are great. So, but you just have more with Ebo. You know what you're gonna get. And he already made his debut. He's around good guys. So yeah, I think Ebo's gonna win this, but I don't have much confidence because how could you? And the price is close, so that's just a pass.
Key, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm not sure why this guy's here. I mean, the freak, the unknown tape is like Dana White Contender Series type vibes. I'm not sure why they didn't just throw him on there, especially with the amount of like bigger Brazilians that they brought on this season. But that's besides the point. I'm not sure what's the angle for this fight. It's a pass for me. I don't think that Ivo Aslan has like a lot of process. I thought they should have knocked out Anton earlier. Rafael, we just don't know enough. Like, simply, we don't know enough. The spinning elbow was cool as fuck, but I just don't know enough to be backing at close odds here. So it's a pass fight for me.
Do you know what the Pleasure Man? Yeah, I saw it live. I think I actually had a bet on the Pleasure Man, if I don't remember incorrectly. I bet Pleasure Man against Pedro, which would possibly even worse.
The street didn't forget this one when you went against me and Key on this one.
Yep, had to go out with the Pleasure Man. Pepe said, let's see, Cirque low volume as fuck, barely throws hands on fight I've seen. Yeah, I think it's hard to find tape on him. I guess this guy was saying before he's a grappler. Let me go find that comment. Jelton's main training partner.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, I've seen him shoot 2-3 takedowns on the highlights I've seen, but he's more of a striker, it looks like. But on Instagram, he does grapple, but he just accepts these guys pressuring him, and he doesn't really separate against them, and they're very low level. So, okay. And he's also 34. You know, he's 34 years old, making his debut. Ebo's 28, so it just. Ebo was plus money yesterday. I think he's the side, but now it's kind of a pick him, and I don't, it's hard to have a strong read on it. But this guy's kind of weird, They both are. So,
all right, let's go on to the main card. Obviously, guys, we're going to the main card. Thank you again, Lucrative, for joining us. We do this free every week. Just drop us a like and a subscribe. It's the way to support us. It's all we really ask for. We don't ask for much. This is the first main event of the evening, or the first fight of the main card of the evening. Shara Magomedov versus Armen Petrosyan. Shara is 14-0. He's 30, 6'2" with a 73-inch reach. Armen Petrosyan's 8-3, 33, 6'3" with a 71-inch reach. Okay, looking at these two gentlemen, they're both strikers. Odds on these two guys, you can get Petrosyan anywhere from plus 125 to plus 140. You can get Shara Bullet anywhere from minus 158 or minus 155 to minus 160. Lucrative, what are you thinking, my man? These guys were training partners in the past, or they sparred together in the past. Now they're matched up here on the card. A lot of people seem to like Armen as a dog here. UFC's obviously trying to push Shara Bullet. How do you think this fight goes?
I think it might be a classic Shara fight in that he just wins via damage. You know, it's going to be a good fight. I think both fighters are fairly similar skill level. There's definitely an argument that you play Armen Petrosyan. He's got more grappling upside. If anyone's going to have any grappling in this fight, it should be Petrosyan, and especially in a close kickboxing fight, which it probably will be at minutes. You know, that can always swing the bout, swing rounds and swing the bout. But Shara, in my opinion, does a lot more damage. Armen wears damage too. You know, he gets cut up fairly often, bleeds quite a lot. And I think that Armen will have a tough time at points in this fight, most likely earlier, in reading the awkward style of Shara, because he's got that, it's not even Taekwondo style, but it kind of is like point fighting, kickboxing, karate type style that a lot of them over in Dagestan have. Even the wrestlers, you know, Umar and Usman are now making a name off that style, but then they have the grappling mixed in with it as well, right? Which changes everything. Shara's not going to grapple, so he's got a similar style in terms of the kicks. He's a lot better kicker, but it is that similar outside kickboxing style, very loose with his kicks. It's a close fight, bro. It's honestly a close fight, but Armen Petrosyan has been knocked out. He's been wobbled a couple of times. I can see a fight where Armen looks value and still loses a decision. It doesn't mean I'm not considering playing Armen via decision. You know, there's some decent prices you can get out there on that. I don't think he's gonna. I mean, he doesn't have a finish in the UFC outside of that fraud Kolev guy on the Contender Series. 10-0 he was. That was quite funny. Outside of that, he doesn't have a inside the distance win in the UFC. I don't think so. And Shara seemed, you know, fairly tough. The fight should be on the outside for most of the fight. I don't think they're going to be swinging in the pocket too heavy. So, you know, there may be some value on Armen points or something like that. I'm going to say Shara ekes this one out again. I'm going to say that he looks like he probably didn't cover his line again, like he has looked a couple of times in the UFC. Whether he's winning 30-27 in these fights against Michel Oleksiejczuk and Bruno Silva, he's not covering the line, at least on that iteration of the fight, right? Like, he winning 30-27 and, like, looking not good. You know, he just doesn't look good, really. He just doesn't look convincing in those fights. But he's still winning most of the rounds on all three judges' scorecards. I think he dropped one round unanimously in one of those fights. But, yeah, I'm going to say that it's the same thing. You know, Shara gets the win just about because he does more damage. He lands the more eye-catching blows. He kicks the head a couple of times and it squeaks him out of decision. But it should be close. Armen could go out there and just school him to the MMA game, which is crazy because he has less MMA fights, but he's a much better MMA fighter. You know, we don't see that too often. But it is the case here with Armen. So, yeah, it's a tough one for me, boys. As you can tell, you know, I don't have a strong read on it. My prediction is that Armen will win a minus EV decision. Shara will win a minus EV decision. And I haven't decided what way I'm going to bet at the moment because there's big upside for Armen here. You know, if he can get some grappling going, if he can read the striking earlier than I think he probably will, then he could look like a favorite here at like plus 140. So, you know, but yeah, pass for me overall. I'm picking Shara.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I've waken up each day this week, and I've been on a different side of this fight. You know, I started with thinking Armen plus 3.5. That was never going to be a good odds bet. But that was kind of my initial thought at it. Watched it on tape. Didn't like how Armen did against the leg kicks of CLD. But obviously, he still won that fight. He was able to put it together with the boxing once the leg kicks were starting to work on him. Shara is continuing to find a way to win these fights. Obviously, the UFC wants to win these fights. That doesn't really matter too much into my handicapping just because they can want it all they want. But if Armen wants it more than Shara does, he'll get it done. Like you said, Armen's the better MMA fighter. He has the grappling upside. I think, you know, at some point he'll have the volume upside too. Shara Butin's obviously very good at using his kicks, you know, low, medium, or middle, and high. He kind of uses kicks as a jab too. So it's going back and forth on this. And I think, you know, Odds in this fight, Arman at one point was plus 160. I think he was a side there. Plus 150, a lot of people got was good too. He's down to all the way down to plus 125 now, and Sharabutin is almost minus 150. I told these guys in our group chat, if I can get Shara minus 140, minus 130, I'll definitely play him just because I think at that point I'll take the chance. It's in Abu Dhabi. He does put out volume. His kicks are flashier, and I think he could probably win from a standpoint of that on the judges' scorecards. But like we've seen, if Shar gets taken down and he's on his back, he still throws a bunch of volume and strikes, but he's not tremendous getting up off his back. I don't think he's really all that good off the back. So I'm gonna lean Shar here, but I have no bet so far. What are you thinking, Key?
Yeah, I think over's an angle here. I think it's pretty safe. I want to be on Petrosyan. Hope this price gets a little bit wider. Hopefully we catch some Shara bullet steam. But Petrosyan, like Lucrative mentioned, I mean, it doesn't wear damage well. And I feel Shara is the new shiny toy for the UFC. It's hard for me to think that they're not going to give him a close decision. And I think that that's how this fight plays out a lot of times. But I do think that Petrosyan has grappling upside if he goes to it. Pretty interesting what he said earlier about sparring with Shara and knowing all of his weaknesses and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how this fight plays out. I think this is probably one of the worst matchups at this sort of tier, this mid-tier, that they could have given Shara because Petrosyan does all of the right things, in my opinion, on the feet. And I've been a Petrosyan guy since the RoboCop fight. So there's a pass as of right now, but over and Petrosyan are both in my sights right now.
Perfect. Drav, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I know that Petrosyan's a popular dog. He's kind of the dog of the week, seems like, and I understand why when I was taping it, but I think it's way better to go with an over 2.5 or GTD than picking a side here. Everybody trying to pick a side. I know it's a cool fight, but we all agree that's going to be a close fight, and it's going to go the distance. So, the over was minus 210, minus 225, minus 240, but now it got hit. It's like minus 280 now, I think. Let me just check. Minus 280. Yeah, I think it's still parlayable, I think I don't like Petrosyan and Shara are both very durable. And they're both not elite finisher at this level. So I think that's going to be a close 29-28 type decision. Petrosyan, very good striker. I've made a lot of money on him in the UFC. I play him against CLD at plus money. And then I fade him against Rodolfo Vieira at Pick'em. But yeah, here, if anyone has wrestling upside, like James mentioned, it's going to be Petrosyan. And the problem I have with playing the chalk on Shara is he doesn't get up when he gets taken down. So if Arman take him down or cage push, he could win around base of that. And then, on the feet, it's going to be close. They both land decent volume, but Shara looked like he hit harder and he's flashy with the kicks. But it's very hard for me to pick a side here. I understand the bet on Petrosyan, plus 150 range, but I kind of think Shara is going to get it done, but I'm not confident and I wouldn't lay the price. But yeah, the over 2.5. James, even you were talking about the fight earlier. Don't you like an over 2.5 look on it for a parlay piece?
Yeah, not trying to give every single thing out, Dravi. We got to keep some to ourselves, We got to line our pockets first, but I don't mind that one. Yeah, I don't mind that one.
Yeah. That's the way I play it. I already gave it out, so I did play the over 2.5. I think it's better than picking a side, but I'll pick Shara to get it done.
All right. Pepe just said Shara minus 3.5 plus 60, damn near close to his KO line. Has to get a little upside. That's definitely fair. I like that. For sure. Don't be Shara knocked out before. Okay. I don't even really know what's going on in these comments, to be honest.
Are we comparing DDP to Shara here? Come on, guys.
I don't know. These comment sections got out of hand. I totally got lost on it. Shara split plus 600. I don't know. Could be fun. I mean, we all think it's close.
Yeah, it's not a bad look.
I actually kind of like Pepe's angle, honestly, if you're going to play anything. But I think the over, like you said, is probably the best way to play it. Moving on, next fight. Lerone Murphy versus Dan Ige. Lerone Murphy is 14-0-1. He's 33, 5'9", with 73.5-inch reach. Dan 50K Ige is 18-8. He is 33, 5'7", 71-inch reach. You can get the odds on these two guys. Lerone Murphy's minus 265 to 290. Dan Ige is plus 230 to plus 245. I'll go first on this one. I gave out a free pick today for it. Well, all my picks are free. But I went with Lerone Murphy by decision. If you look, neither of these guys have been finished in their career. Obviously, Dan is very durable. I think Lerone Murphy is also a very smart fighter. Lerone Murphy is going to use his jab and his speed and his footwork. He's going to be a lot quicker than Dan Ige. He's going to be able to keep the fight at his distance, flash a quick jab, get all that stuff taken care of, won't sit in the pocket with Dan Ige where he's the most dangerous. So I don't really see a finish coming from there. When we talk about, decision upside, like I said, I think the volume and the speed of Lerone Murphy is going to take over for Dan Ige. I think he's going to beat him up on the feet and win a decision. I think he also has grappling upside. If he does wrestle, he'll be able to take the back of Dan Ige. We've seen Dan Ige be able to get out grappled before. Not that he has bad wrestling, but I think Diego Lopez and Bryce Mitchell were able to get the back. Once he's there, he can hold it. We saw Lerone Murphy do that on tape against Kulabau. So the grappling is still there for him, too, if he wants to take it. I don't think he necessarily has to, but I kind of think this is kind of like a passing of the guard. They're giving Lerone Murphy this spot on the card for a reason. I think I like this bet a lot here. I like him to, step up, take the next step in his career and start calling out higher opponents. So I think the most likely path is decision. I think I got it. It was minus 125 when I put it in my Telegram. And I'm riding with that. Key, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think that Murphy's going to win off of volume, athleticism, and being bigger. I've never been high on Lerone. I've made that pretty clear on this podcast. You can't really tell me where he's just like super elite at, but he mixes the martial arts. I mean, he does what MMA fighters should do, and I can't blame him for that. Going through Dan Ige's KOs was fun to watch doing tape for this, though I can't say. But I don't think that Dan Ige is going to be able to knock him out. And I think that that's usually going to be a lot of Dan Ige's path at this point in his career. So for me, it's a pass. I saw some people play a decision. I know Peg played the decision. I think that's a completely good look. So yeah, it's a pass for me, though, in this fight.
All right. Drav, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, Danny Ige is a very good fighter, but at the end of the day, like you said, never been finished, very durable guy, but he's 7-8 to the decision. It's because of something, the guy does struggle when people take him down, but also on the feet, he's not the best he's not the best minute winner. So you rely on moments. And I feel like here he's going to have problem with Murphy. I think Murphy's he has more tools on the feet. I think he's the better minute winner. I think he can also win moments on the feet, and then he has also the wrestling upside if he wants to. And yeah, the career trajectory is also on his side. The guy's 14-0. That's his time to go now. And he impressed me in his last fight against Barboza. I always thought the guy was good, but I think to go 5 rounds with the cardio, the pace, mix everything up, it was very good to see. At the end of the day, he's 6-0 in the UFC, 7-0 to the decision. He could hurt Ige, I guess. Ige could hurt Murphy also, but I think another fight that goes all 15 minutes, and I think Murphy's just going to do more, mix in a couple takedowns, land more volume. He has more tools to work with on the feet, and I just think the guy now has hit his prime, and, Danny Ige is going to be here to test him, but I think that Murphy's going to win the decision. So I don't mind peg look also with the decision prop. I think it's a good way to play it, but yeah, the line's getting smashed at the moment, Murphy almost minus 300, maybe a bit wide, but I do think that he's still winning. Danny get another value loser type bet.
Yeah, I think Murphy by decision is minus 150 now too. So that line moved. It's not minus 125 anymore. Lucrative, close us out here. What are you thinking for this fight?
I'll close you out. I agree with all of you. I don't see how Dan Ige wins the fight outside of knockout or knockdowns. And so for that reason, I'll pick Lauren Murphy fairly confidently.
Yep. Champ Bet seems to agree with you. He loves Lerone here. Back to that Petro fight. Petro decision over money line.
Yeah.
I guess.
We also agree on that one. Petrosyan decision, better look than money line.
Yeah, I'd agree. All right, let's go to our next fight. Next fight here is let's share this tab. It is Magomedov or Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. Ankalaev is 19-1-1. He's 32-6'3", the 75-inch reach. Alexander Rakic, 14-4, 32-6'4", 78-inch reach. Line on these two gentlemen. I believe Ankalaev, Uncle Anki, is the biggest favorite on the card. He is he is. He's Nzechukwu. He's the second biggest. He's anywhere from minus 410 or minus 360 to minus 410. You can get Rakic anywhere from plus 310 to plus 300 range. Drop, I'm going to have you go first here. I mean, Ankalaev usually finds a finish if they're lower level or has a pretty close fight. Do you think Rakic is able to keep it close here?
Yeah, definitely. It's another fight where I think it's going to be close, but this
quick pause on that. Anyone who wants Murphy decision, it's minus 125 on FanDuel. Thanks, dog. All right, continue, Drop.
Yeah, so for this one, I also believe it's going to be a very close fight, and the line doesn't reflect that. Ankalaev, there's some narrative here coming into this one. He's supposed to be fighting for a title. The UFC obviously doesn't want that. They're giving him Rakic, which honestly, I think it's one of his toughest fight in the entire division. Rakic, we know, have very good leg kicks, and we know Ankalaev does struggle with that. So I think Rakic's going to kick the legs early. And then Ankalaev basically can't wrestle. That's what the UFC told him if he wants to have a title shot. They told him to win the fight and to have a good fight, So it's going to be exciting to see what end up happening, because sometimes it can be boring. And yeah, he's just low volume. He doesn't separate against anyone on the feet. Maybe Johnny Walker when he can knock people out, Ion Kutulaba. But against Blachowicz, I think it was a bad look. You wait till later in the fight to wrestle, and his legs were destroyed. He doesn't check leg kicks. So, and in the boxing, I also believe it's close. Rakic is a very, very good striker, and he has good takedown defense. So if Ankalaev try to wrestle, I don't think he's going to have much success. And yeah, I think Rakic might do a little bit more. He can land a bit more volume than Ankalaev, even though it's close and he's a low volume himself at time. But yeah, his last fight, I mean, I think he looked pretty good until he got tired and got finished by Prohaska. But Prohaska was on his face nonstop with the power, with the pressure, and he broke him. But that's not Ankalaev's style, And Rakic was doing a very good job before that. And yeah, Rakic has everything to win with a win here, and he knows that. I listened to his interview. Another interesting thing to mention is that he said that he had a staff going into the Prohaska fight. He was on antibiotic all week. He has staff on his shoulder. So was it true or not? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but he kind of gassed out in this fight in round 2, and that he said he couldn't feel his arms anymore, and he got tired. I think it could be true, because he was looking very good and then he got tired. Was it because Prohaska pressure, or maybe because he was sick? Peg, you deal with his staff, so I guess you know what it is with the antibiotics and everything. So, so maybe that's that. And then I just see a fight going a distance, and I think it's going to be very close. I'm pretty confident that Rakic's going to win a round, which Peg going to catch his bet because of that. And if he can't win a round, why not the fight, where I think it's going to be very close, and he's like plus 300. So I think it's worth a shot. I don't think Ankalaev's going to cover his price tag. And I think Rakic is one of the that's a big dog that's going to cash on the card, actually. So I like him here, and I'm going to pick him for the upset.
Yeah. Lucrative, what do you got?
Yeah, I feel the same, to be honest. So I don't want to repeat what Drabi said. But at the end of the day, this is one of the, the first thing you said, Dravi, is probably one of the most important things to reiterate, in that this is one of the hardest, maybe, top 2 hardest stylistic matchups for Ankalaev in the division. Now, he probably beats everyone in the division, right? But I think that this is a tough stylistic matchup for him, if there ever is one, because they're similar in a lot of the realms of MMA, and we can't trust Ankalaev at these massive, massive prices. He's a better fighter. He's a little bit more clinical. He's a little bit more dangerous. He's a little bit better in the pocket. He has a bit better eyes. But at the end of the day, he shouldn't be minus 300, minus 360, minus 400 in this spot, in my opinion. It could be another 2024 big underdog that looks minus 110 that loses, and I'm prepared for that. But if you give me plus 280, I have to take it. This is an easy bet on Alexander Rakic for me.
Yeah, I agree. I gave out a free pick earlier this week. It was Alexander Rakic plus 3.5, plus 160. Like everyone said here, I think this is a lot closer than people think. I think Rakic is going to win around here just because he's got good wrestling defense. We know Ankalaev struggles with leg kicks. Leg kick may not be there as often because he's a southpaw, but I still think Rakic will adjust his game and get it done with leg kicks. I think he'll win around. Other than that, like, as long as Rakic doesn't get finished and it goes to decisions, I could see Ankalaev winning 29-28 across the board. If that's the case, we cash that bet. I do think the money line's wide as well. We talked to Lucrative mentioned it earlier too. We talked about the parlay boys coming in. I think this is going to be one of the people, all the casuals will on, Saturday morning, Friday night, they'll just see, the Russian flag on Fanatics or DraftKings and just start parlaying him, thinking he's a lock. So I think I'm waiting on the money line till we get later on. I think a lot odds go up. Maybe we get him around plus 350 if that's the case. I'll put like half the unit there. Hopefully get the money line and the spread. Either way, you can profit as long as Rakic doesn't get finished and wins around. So, yeah, other than that, I agree with Dravi and Lucrative. Key, what are you thinking here? What's your hot take?
There is no hot take. I think that Ankalaev isn't going to justify price tag, but I think he gets it done. I can't unsee. I know that he was sick, but I just can't unsee Rakic like folding like that. That was so disappointing. I had I think 2.5 units on him versus Yuri. And so that was a rough L, but I think that here Ankalaev, I don't know if he's going to put on a titled shot deserving performance. I know that he said that Dana told him that he has to have a big time performance to get the title shot. But Rakic is solid everywhere. I have to imagine that Ankh has learned his lesson and is going to check leg kicks here. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, but I think that Ankh ends up winning a minus CV decision.
All right. Let's
Well,
go through these.
yeah.
Let's see. We got to go through all these comments now. Where do we start? Okay. KO spot for Ankalaev. Ankh got to KO him to cover it. I agree. He did have staff. Key's boys are here. He said he had a hot take. He lied to us. Pepe Silva, KO round 2, round 3 with his chin in the air. Could be similar to like the Yuri fight, depending on if he's that tired. Could be fair. What is this? Okay, that's the Shara fight. Zeke's bringing lotion. Key, your goons are going to be at your house soon. Hope you're ready. What's up, guys? Let's see. When you guys didn't see when he adapted struggling after the. Okay. Let's see. He's checking leg kicks not as often. All right. So this is just going crazy. This chat's just going crazy. Next fight we got is this is our co-main event. It's another 5-round fight. This is another one that seems like people on Twitter, another Twitter's match of the week. Honestly, I think this fight's going to turn out to be a banger. It's probably going to end pretty early based off my prediction. It's Rob the Reaper Whittaker, Bobby Knuckles versus Khamzat Chimaev. Rob Whittaker, 26-7, 33-6-0 with a 73.5-inch reach. Khamzat is 13-0, 30 years old, 6'2", 65-inch reach. It says he's at All-Stars. He's actually back at his old camp in Russia, I believe. Odds these two gentlemen, Whittaker is plus 200 to plus 210. Khamzat's anywhere from minus 240 to minus 265. He will have you go first. Does Khamzat find the finish within the first 10 minutes of the fight, or does Rob take over and win the fight late? A lot of the narrative is Khamzat gasses out, like people have seen. You know, I think he lost round 3 on both Gilbert Burns fight and the Usman fight. So what do you think?
Yeah, I played Khamzat here. I'm very happy with the price I got, minus 156. I think all 3 of us played that. Yeah, I think that it's a solid price. Even in a 5-rounder, if it gets there, I think that Khamzat, I know that everybody wants to talk about like Rob dealt with Yoel Romero's great wrestling, but let's get real. It's not like Romero was sitting here truly wrestling in MMA. Like that's not something that translated into his game. I think that Khamzat's going to set a pace. I think rounds 1 through 3 is going to look rough for him. People got to understand that it wasn't like Khamzat gassed out versus Gilbert Burns. Khamzat talked about how he dealt with some food poisoning and issues the morning of the fight versus Usman. And again, Usman is Usman. I mean, we're talking about one of the pound-for-pound greatest welterweights of all time. So I'm not going to sit here and act like that was just some bad fight. And he ragdolled Usman in round 1, like absolutely ragdolled him. I wouldn't be surprised to see Chimaev get the back here. I also wouldn't be surprised to see a knockout, honestly. I think that Whittaker's chin has been sus for a while. I know that Khamzat has real pop at 185. He's not draining himself. Back with his old coaches, seems to be like his training regimen is more calculated and better for him. I think that Khamzat's going to prove why he's been hyped up for this long. And I think it's about time. I mean, he's over 30. If somebody told you in 2020, 2021 that it would be damn near 2025 and Khamzat doesn't have a title, we would all be calling them liars probably. So I think that's right about time for him to hit his peak, and I think it's here right now. So I'm in on Khamzat. I think he gets it done.
Yeah, I got nothing to add. I think you broke it down perfectly. I played him minus 162. One thing I'm going to add, Rob Whittaker kind of struggles with physicality. Less earlier in his career, more now. We saw in DDP's fight, DDP was able to cowboy him. That's something you do to your little brothers when you're fighting them at the house. You just grab them by the neck and toss them over your hip. That's kind of what he was able to do. Khamzat's strong. He's physical. I think he comes at him quick. I think he takes him out within 2 rounds. I think it's going to be a KO over a sub, but I think he's live for both. I mean, Rob Whittaker's pretty good on the mat when it comes to jiu-jitsu. So I don't really see the sub as much, but I think the KO with either ground and pound or the KO on straight up on the feet is pretty fair. I'm taking Khamzat here. Lucrative, what do you think?
Yeah, going with you boys. Obviously, you know, it seems a lot of people are on Whittaker here. And sorry, boys. Danny calling me again. Could you hear that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that Khamzat's going to run through him. I understand why people might be playing Whittaker, because obviously we've seen Khamzat gas out a couple of times in the UFC. The 2 times he's taken a step up in competition, he's got tired after round 1 and looked a shell of himself that he usually looks in round 1, right? In round 1, he's unbeatable. He's a beast. Never lost round 1, never been close to losing round 1, completely dominates everyone in round 1. But after that, he does gas out a little bit, you know? So 5-round fight, I understand why people want to play Whittaker. I just don't think Rob's going to survive. And even if he does survive, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we could have a Benoit Saint Denis versus Moicano situation where, you know, Robert is so badly damaged from that round 1 that he's not even going to last the 5 rounds. Or he's not going to win the 5 rounds either, right? Yeah, okay, he won round 2, Benoit, but, you know, Moicano had no shoulder, and then it still got stopped because he was badly damaged. I could see a scenario in which that happens. Khamzat should be, worst case scenario, should be 10-8 going up into round 2. I don't think Rob has a good bottom game. We've seen it a couple of times in the UFC, not too much, but most recently in a Dricus fight, and he got dominated from the top position there. It didn't look good. Didn't look like he has good jiu-jitsu, and he also got dominated and hurt. His chin's deteriorating. Yeah, man, many things to not like about Robert Whittaker, obviously, in this matchup. I think Khamzat is the truth. I've always thought he was the truth. I bet on him in his debut when he was unknown at -300. So, yeah, I think he's going to run through Robert Whittaker. Not too much to say. I also think he can win. I don't think he's a definite loss if he gets out round 1 at all, to be honest, either. So, yeah, I'll go with Khamzat.
Droth, anything from you? Anything different to add?
Yeah, gonna make it 4-4 on this one. Yeah, I think Chimaev's gonna rolls. I think it's gonna finish him. Like James just said, I mean, Whittaker's chin is on the decline for like 2-3 years now, so there is a world where Chimaev doesn't even shoot and hurt him with a big punch early also. So you can knock him out on the feet. I think he can take him down, and he could also submit him. In the first 10 minutes, I think Chimaev is one of the best fighters on the UFC. Maybe after that, it could get tricky, but there's not a lot of people that can survive these 10 minutes. And I don't think Whittaker at this point in his career, with his dodgy chin, with his bottom game that's not very good, like James said. And Chimaev, I know he's only like a brown belt in BJJ, but his BJJ and wrestling for MMA is really, really good. Ground and pound's nasty. The way he choked people out, the physicality. Yeah, I mean, the guy is super legit, and I think that if it goes to round 4 and 5, it could get tricky. But I mean, you're gonna have an option to live bet if you're really worried. And I think Chimaev's gonna be up 2-0 going into round 3. And then if you want to edge, you're probably gonna get a big price on Whittaker at that point if Chimaev is gassing out. So there's always that option, which I don't think we're going to need because I think he's going to finish him under 2.5 rounds. So the price is kind of cooked now. Unfortunately, if you guys didn't play him yet, he's -240. I guess it's still parlayable, but the value is not really there anymore. I would look to maybe an under 2.5. It's a pick 'em. And if he does finish, I think he finished under 2.5, -110, -115. I think it's also a good look for the Chimaev side.
Yep. Okay. Khamzat sub 1 and 2. I agree with this too. Khamzat does look to be a lot better shape.
Oh. Yeah, I forgot to say, but he did his training camp in Russia, like we said, but it's at high elevation, like in the mountain and everything. He seems very focused and doing change for his cardio and preparing for the 5 rounds with good wrestler. So it was good to see him at high altitude for 5 rounds for this one.
All right, let's go to our main event. This is honestly probably going to be one of the best main events of the year. Guys, obviously, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. That's how you support us the best way. Main event, Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. Ilia Topuria is 15-0. He's 27-5'7" with a 69-inch reach. Max Holloway, 26-7. He is 32-5'11" with a 69-inch reach. Odds on these two guys, you can get Ilia Topuria -240 to -265. You can get Holloway anywhere from +200 to +220. Lucrative, we'll have you go first. I mean, this is a tough fight for all fans. I feel like both guys are pretty cool. Both guys are likable. They're pretty good dudes. It sucks you got to see them go in and one of them has to lose. But I think we're in for a good fight here. I think this is going to be one of the best main events of the year. What do you think, Lucrative?
Yeah, I love these guys. I've always loved the featherweight division. McGregor was the one who got me into loving MMA, which is pretty casual, but that's just the truth. I won a lot of money on McGregor against Aldo, a couple of fights before that as well. And I won a lot of money on Ilia Topuria over in his whole career, especially in his knockout win over Volkanovski. I won a lot of money on Max throughout his career as well. So I like the featherweight division in general. I like these guys, both of them. It's going to be tough to see one of them lose because I am a fan of both. But I think Max is going to be taking an L here. Something that is worth mentioning is that he's coming back from 155. In his fight with Gaethje, he looked a lot better than his previous 155 performances in terms of physically. He put a lot of muscle on for that. You could clearly see that. He looked way better physically than the Dustin Poirier second fight, for example, at 155. So, coming back down again, cutting weight, it's never been an easy cut for him. As he gets older and older, it looks worse and worse. So I think it's probably going to be his worst weight cut yet, or at least He's losing the most amount of weight yet, the most amount of muscle yet, which can't be good. Everyone has their day. I think Max has had his day. You know, for him to recapture the featherweight title after losing it so long ago, fighting for it multiple times since then, and now again against someone who just beat someone that he couldn't beat over 3 fights. You know, it's just a very, very tough ask for Max. Max's way to win this fight is cardio, you know, his volume, it's staying in the fight. But I think Topuria has a grappling upside here, which he can potentially go to if he starts to get a little bit tired. You know, I just feel like Topuria is going to hurt him early and often. Does he knock him out? I don't know. It's very hard for me to say that he knocks Max out when Max has never been knocked out in his career. One of the best chins, almost a crazy chin. But, you know, he's been wobbled a couple of times. In the last fight, he got stumbled by Gaethje. It's not out of the wrong possibility that Topuria knocks him out here. He's never fought someone as good as a boxer as Topuria. Poirier is definitely not. He's never fought someone as fast with the hands as Topuria, and he's never fought someone who hits as hard as Topuria, in my opinion. Gaethje, Poirier, whoever you want to say, they're not on the level of Topuria when it comes to that. So, and this is at 145, you know. So, I just think that it's a recipe for a Max L here. But you know, there's ways that he wins the fight for sure. But my prediction is Topuria.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't have a bet here. I didn't pick a side. Going into this fight, you know, when I saw Topuria beat Volk, and then I kind of knew Max was gonna be the next guy. My initial thought was, "Yo, this is gonna be a tough fight for Topuria versus Max, just because of, you know, the pace he'll set, the volume he'll set, stuff like that." Kind of looking into the tape and looking at some of the training videos, Topuria's got probably the best boxing in the UFC. We know Max is supposed to be the best boxer. I think Topuria has I guess technically, from a technical standpoint, the best boxing. The way he puts combos together, how hard he hits, especially once he gets you back against the cage. Something scary to see. We saw Volk go out that way. I'm not really sure I see Ilia Topuria finishing Max early. So I was kind of thinking about the over at one point, because I think it was set at 3.5, I wanted to say, but I think it's 4.5.
It's mixed up. Some books it's 4.5, and some books it's 3.5.
2.5 is minus 190 also. So for the over, so I kind of lean the over. Just for the vibes, I put 2 tickets in, just Max KO round 4 and Max KO round 5. I think it's plus 3,200, plus 4,000. I hit round 5 last fight against Gaethje. Did it again because if he does find a finish, it'll definitely be late in the fight if Topuria is tired or gassed out from the volume. But Max has obviously got to make it there first. Those are just flyers for fun, but I think if I had to pick a side, I'm probably going to lean Topuria here. Key, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think that Topuria gets it done, but I'm not willing to eat. What is it now? Minus 230 or something?
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, I'm not willing to eat that. I'm still old enough to remember whenever I was paying minus 140 against Bryce Mitchell and shit. And I played plus 150 through, I think, plus 130 on Topuria versus Volk. So, yeah, I'm not – it's hard to justify these price tags at this high of a level, one. And two, I don't think that – I think that Max is one of the harder style matchups for Topuria, if I'm being completely honest. It'll be interesting to see if Topuria does choose to grapple. I mean, he seems and sounds like he's dead intent on trying to knock his head off, but – I'm interested to see both sides' game plans here. And I also want to see, what does Topuria's cardio look like whenever it's not on his terms. I mean, everybody talks about him going 5 rounds against Emmett, but that was at his pace, just being the dog shit out of Emmett and bursting whenever he wanted to. So I think that this is a spot where on DFS apps, I'll probably get around to some Topuria, but on books, I'm not looking to get into too much here. And I can understand the Max Holloway dog shots. And it is sad to say, but I do think that the chin has to get cracked eventually. And as Lucrative mentioned, he hasn't faced anybody with this level of boxing. So this is going to be a fun fight, one of the fights of the year. I'm very, very excited to see this play out.
Yeah, I think the fans win with this fight regardless. Drav, close us out here on this fight, and then we'll go BTL Parlay and close us out.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, one of the best fights on the entire year, super high level. I've made a lot of money on both guys, so it's hard to choose a side here. I bet Topuria big against Volk, plus money. I bet Max, he was plus 200 against Gaethje. I cashed around 5 also. It was a crazy knockout, but cashing him by round 5 at like plus 4,000, it was even better. But yeah, I mean, one of the greatest moments. So him going back down to 145, I don't like. And Topuria is one of the best fighters on the entire roster right now. His boxing is elite, speed's power is insane, but let's not forget the guy grappling is insane, man. Like he doesn't grapple enough recently, but if he decides to wrestle and grapple here, I'm confident that he can have success. And Max Chin is elite, but one thing Topuria does very well is he goes to the body, man, and I think that can open up the striking, and he could potentially hurt Max. Let's not forget that it doesn't count on the stats, but Gaethje kind of dropped Max, and Max got hurt against Poirier, so I can definitely see Topuria hurting Holloway here. And if it doesn't work out on the feet for him, he has a plan B to go to the wrestling, I think. So, and Topuria hands are nasty, but he doesn't throw them enough. He doesn't throw them a lot, but his leg kicks are nasty. He destroyed Volkanovski's legs with like 4 kicks. He didn't destroy them, but you know what I mean. He had a lot of success. Leg kicks very effective. A thing that I've noticed when I was taping it, and I've noticed on the countdown video, Holloway's path to win here is to use a lot of volume, a lot of pressure. He uses cardio as a weapon like he normally does, but also kicks, head kicks, knees up the middle when Topuria rushed in. And when Holloway was pairing, he was doing a lot of head kicks, a lot of knees in the clinch, a lot of, I think he's the taller fighter, and I think that's the way you would win the fight. Topuria has been dropped, I think, one time in the regional with a head kick. He's been dropped by Jai Herbert with a head kick, and he's been kind of clipped with some knees. Even Volkanovski had success with that. So a lot of footwork for Max, a lot of kicks, and I think he could win the decision if it goes all 25 minutes. And all the way by point is like plus 500, I think. It's not a bad look. But it's just hard for me to see Topuria lose. The guy is just so good. And I think he has too much power. He's too fast for Max. He has the grappling upside. He's a younger guy. And all the way, he took a lot of damage in his career. So maybe that's the time he gets finished. I'm not willing to bet the KO. It's not even plus 200. But I think, Topuria is the side for me. Even at the price, I think the price is fair. I don't think there's enough value on Max to make a bet. But I can understand people doing it. But at the same time, I feel like the people playing Max now play Gaethje at chalk the last fight. So I'm like, I feel like people missed the train the last time out at big plus odds, and now they want to go back at it the next fight. I don't blame them. Max Holloway plus 200 against anyone. It can be a terrible bet, but I just think Topuria is too good, too fast, too powerful for him. And man, I think he's gonna get it done. But I'm very excited to see how this one's gonna play out.
What do you guys think about the point spread here? Plus 9.5 on Max Holloway.
9.5. It's not 5.5 when it's
no. DK's doing more with these point spreads, and I think there's some edge there. That's all I'll say. I think that there's some edge that we're gonna see with some of these point spreads going forward on DK.
How does plus 9.5 make sense? How does that a 5-round fight?
I think it's 5.5, but I'm not familiar with them. But yeah, Pepe mentioned in the chat that if he's going to have the gas to grapple, and that's a good point. I mean, I don't think he's going to have success doing it over 5 rounds, but I can see him, if he's getting tagged up on the feet, trying to wrestle and grapple for a round or 2 maybe. Like he did that against Josh Emmett later in the fight, but, like he said, Emmett didn't push a pace on him, and we know always known to push a pace on guy, kind of break people later in the fight. So if Topuria is getting tired, Holloway has good takedown defense, so maybe he's not going to be able to grapple, but I still think that he win even on the feet, so, but I give him the grappling upside still.
Wow, plus 13.5, minus 130. You also got to assume Max doesn't get finished here, which honestly isn't a bad bet. Then this guy said 5 units on the over, 5 units on the over. I agree. The right side defense with the head kick, stuff like that. People forget Volk did win round 1 against him, so if Max can do that for 5 rounds, which he can, that could be positive upside there. Okay. All right, guys, that's the show. Thanks for joining us. Let's do the BTL parlay real quick. Key, what leg do you want?
Shit. Let's see here. I'll go a boost Magomedov.
Boost, Mago.
You can go back.
Minus 145.
35.
35?
Yeah, minus 135.
Okay, minus 135. I'm gonna go with, let's see here. I'm just gonna give something easy. I'm gonna go with Lerone Murphy, minus 290.
You can go, James. I'll go last.
Maybe we could do the money line parlay. I'll go with Carlos Leal plus 210.
Wow, let's do it.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. And so Murphy, Magomedov, Leal, and then do we go Topuria or Chimaev? It's gonna be almost.
let's do Topuria because we're all on Chimaev ready money line.
All right, it's Topuria. So Topuria minus 235, Magomedov minus 135, Leal plus 210, Murphy minus 290. So the parlay is plus 935.
Plus 935. All right,
And
guys.
low-key, I think it cash.
I do too. I do too. Perfect. I love that. All right. Lucrative, thanks for joining us again. Plug whatever sites you got. I know you have a new YouTube show. I watched it. It was either yesterday or 2 days ago. It's a sick show. I love the layout. I love the little video clips in between. It was great, man. I liked it.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, thanks for having me on, boys. You know, always fun when we do this. Hopefully we can cash this time. Last time I did this, I think I was in Vegas going to the fights for the jury. Yeah, the jury fight versus Ferreira, and I done kind of shit on that card. So hopefully we can break the curse, you know, and have a good weekend this week. I'm feeling good about it. Thanks as always for putting me on, and yeah, appreciate your kind words about the show. That'll be a new show going forward. Hopefully it'll get better as we go on. You know, it was the first one, so maybe we add some more cool clips and stuff like that. So that's the only thing I'll plug, bro. Everyone's on YouTube at the moment. If you go over to my YouTube channel, Lucrative James, is on there, the free MMA betting show, and we'll do that every week. So yeah, just give it a watch and let me know what you think in the comments. But that's it, boys. Good luck this weekend to everyone watching.
You got it. Drive Key. What do you guys got? Any specials going on?
You can go, Key.
Yeah, DM me code 308 and I'll hit you up with the special code from my Dub Club in Discord. Up over 73 units this year. We got live bets in Discord, scores, all types of shit, prize picks, underdog fantasy, better app, do it all in there. So make sure you come over. It's a pretty big weekend and I already have some bets locked in even for November. So time to get started, time to finish this year off and finish off 100 units or more.
All right, Drive, cut the promo and let's get out of here.
Yeah, for my Dub Club, I did a post earlier today. I'll do a promo code also because it's 308. It's a big pay-per-view. So you can hit me up right now if you're listening. If you want a promo code for this card before I post the tweet tomorrow, just hit me up at 308. Like he said, also on my DM on Twitter, Drivy_. And I got you a little something for this card. And yeah, nothing much to add. It's a banger of a card. I hope we all cash. We agree on most of the fights, which is good to know. Good to see. And yeah, James, thanks for coming, bro. And yeah, for your show, the edit you did is pretty good, man. I don't think people are doing it with the breakdowns, the transition, the way you're doing it, pretty good, man. So thanks for coming, bro. And let's do something together again soon. It's always cool when you come on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. We appreciate it. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we will catch you guys next week for UFC Edmonton. Peace.